Pickett getting the opportunity to be the starting quarterback. The reason why Shedeur Sanders ended up playing games last year and getting at the end of the season to actually show what he can do wasn't because necessarily Kevin Stefanski moved people out of his way because he thought that he believed in what Shedeur was able to do. Shedeur got the opportunity to play because people in front of him were moved out because of health. Kenny Pickett in the fourth day of camp was in the first huddle. At the end of a practice, I was there at this practice. He scrambled, pulled up, tweaked the hamstring. We never saw Kenny Pickett again. Never saw him. He was eventually traded for a fifth-round pick to the Raiders. All from hamstring. Dillon Gabriel came out of the game against the Baltimore Ravens because he had a concussion. If he would have passed concussion protocol, he would have probably been the starting quarterback the next week. He did not pass concussion protocol. Kevin Stefanski said he was the starting quarterback. He didn't pass concussion protocol. Shedeur Sanders goes out and wins his first game as a starter on the road against the Raiders. That gave him more a little backing from the ownership and the front office that said, okay, we want to see what this guy can do, which gave him a runway to be the starting quarterback the rest of the year. Understand this. The Browns traded Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals. Why? Because Joe Burrow was hurt. Joe Burrow was hurt. An injury caused the Browns, to trade Joe Flacco in the division, which opened up a position for Dillon Gabriel to play. You see what I'm getting at here? A lot of times your opportunity comes from somebody being your best ability is your availability. I didn't start playing in high school until my junior year, 1 week before we played our first game. And the reason I got to play, and I wasn't starting anyways, I started both ways the first game against Akron Garfield. I started that journey in a practice where the coach's son, who was playing defensive end and tight end, got injured at defensive end. I got in, made 3 or 4 plays in practice, and they said, we can't even hold him no more. This dude, I already had the size. I already had the stature. I just didn't have the cachet. They said, if he's going to play like that, we got to play him. You know, it was crazy after that happened, right? The next day, a guard in front of me got injured, broke his arm. Guess what? I started playing immediately at guard the next day. So I went from not playing and starting my entire, all the way to the week before in my junior year. In my junior year. And in 2 days, I started both ways because of injuries. I never looked back. I took both of those positions, made All-State at offense and defense. We got a Division I scholarship. We won a state championship back-to-back. Shout out to the McKinley Bulldogs. You see what I'm wearing today. I say that to say this. It's all about the time and the timing when you are getting in somewhere. It's all about, if you're in a competition, you can't afford to miss no days. You can't afford to have maintenance days. You can't afford to have a day where, hey, my shoulder is a little tight. Hey, my leg is a little sore. To beat somebody out, you're going to have to be there and you're going to have to endure. And what that means is you can't get no veteran days off. See, the difference between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson is this. Deshaun Watson has had a myriad of injuries. Shedeur Sanders is younger. Shedeur Sanders is in better shape than he was last year. And Shedeur Sanders is hungry. The thing that really separates the two of them that would give Deshaun Watson the edge is the simple fact that he has more experience. He's supposed to know what's going on in terms of how you want to understand coverages. He's supposed to be ahead when it comes to that. But the problem is this. that edge disappears quickly if you are not getting reps. Because if Deshaun Watson has to miss some time, whether it's a day, a period, a quarter, a half a practice, all of those reps are going to go to Shedeur Sanders. They're not going to be split with Dillon Gabriel and Taylor Green. It's going to be all Shedeur Sanders reps. So this competition is actually in a place where it's skewed to the young guy. And the reason why a lot of people talked about this quarterback competition and said, hey, we want to give a position to somebody quickly, was foolhardy and it was not well thought out, is because you guys got to understand, Todd Monken is going to go into these situations and tell yourself, I want to see it. The best way to eliminate somebody is to let them eliminate themselves. Why would you want to invest in a quarterback that you don't know if they're going to be able to play every single game? If you don't know whether or not they can stay healthy in practice and scrimmages, and we're not even talking about the games. So what Todd Monken did was, I want Shedeur Sanders to catch up. I want to create the energy. I want to create the energy that Shedeur Sanders is behind Deshaun Watson. And then I want to see what he does and go to work. I want to see if he's there every day. I want to see if he's putting in the reps. I want to see if his footwork is improvement. I watched tape of him working on his throwing release. And the thing that always, and I've been on both sides of the spectrum, so I'm not knocking Deshaun. I've been in a position where I was the senior coming in, and there was another dude that they brought in that's nipping at my heels. I had also been a top recruit coming in trying to get a senior's position because I was hungry and wanted it. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum. And I think one of the things that's going to come down to is this. It's a battle of attrition. A lot of times it ain't about who can make the best throws. It's about who can make them throws under pressure every single day and have the stamina, energy, and the availability to do so. The person who is
Dawg Pound, imagine this for 1 second. Tyreek Hill in Cleveland, one of the fastest weapons the NFL has ever seen. A game breaker, a defense stretcher, a player who can turn one short throw into a touchdown, one busted coverage into a nightmare, and one step of separation into 6 points. Now imagine him joining the Cleveland Browns and lining up with Shedeur Sanders. That would shake the entire NFL. Now, let's be clear, this is not official. Tyreek Hill has not signed with the Cleveland Browns. This is a possible move, a dream scenario, a roster-building conversation. And there is also a serious health question here, because reports say Tyreek is still recovering from a major knee injury and may not be ready for the 2026 season. But if Cleveland ever had a chance to add Tyreek Hill at the right price, at the right time, and with the right medical clearance, the Browns would have to at least think about it. Because speed changes everything. And for a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, speed can be the difference between surviving and attacking. Here is the important Shedeur news. Despite all the trade rumors, reports say the Browns do not have any intention of trading Shedeur Sanders. That matters, because it tells you Cleveland is not closing the door. They still want to see what he can become. They still want to evaluate him. They still want him in the building. And if the Browns are keeping Shedeur, then they need to build an offense that gives him real answers. Not excuses, not hope, answers. And Tyreek Hill, if healthy, is the kind of answer that terrifies defenses. Imagine this offense. Shedeur Sanders in the shotgun. Quinshon Judkins in the backfield forcing linebackers to respect the run. Jerry Jeudy winning with route running. Isaiah Bond stretching the field. KC Concepcion moving across the formation. Harold Fannin Jr. attacking the middle. Dylan Sampson bringing speed out of the backfield. And then Tyreek Hill lined up outside, forcing every safety in the stadium to take 2 steps backward before the snap. That is a different offense. That is not a normal Browns attack. That is not a defense-friendly formation. That is a problem. Because when Tyreek Hill is on the field, the defense has to declare fear. Do you keep 2 safeties deep? Then Judkins gets lighter boxes. Do you load the box to stop the run? Then Shedeur gets one-on-one chances outside. Do you blitz? Then the ball comes out fast. Do you play soft coverage? Then Tyreek, Jeudy, Fannin, and Concepcion eat underneath. That is how an offense becomes dangerous, not because one player fixes everything, but because one player changes the math. Tyreek Hill changes the math. He changes spacing, he changes angles, he changes pursuit, he changes how defensive coordinators call games. And that could help Shedeur Sanders in a massive way. Because Shedeur does not need to be Superman. He needs structure, he needs protection, he needs a run game, he needs easy completions, he needs explosive plays that do not require perfect football on every snap. That is why speed matters. A young quarterback grows faster when the defense is afraid. And if Tyreek Hill is healthy, defenses are afraid. Now, picture it. 3rd and 4, AFC North game. The defense wants to crowd the line. Judkins is in the backfield. Shedeur sees the safety creeping down. Tyreek motions across the formation. The defense hesitates. The ball is snapped. Shedeur fakes the handoff. Tyreek flashes across the middle. The ball comes out fast. Catch. Turn up field. First down. And maybe more. That is not just a play. That is stress. That is pressure. That is the kind of offensive speed Cleveland has been missing. And the NFL would notice.
Because the conversation around the Browns right now is about quarterback uncertainty, Deshaun Watson concerns, Shedeur Sanders development, training camp pressure, preseason reps. But if Cleveland added a weapon like Tyreek Hill, suddenly the conversation changes. It becomes, are the Browns actually building around Shedeur? Are they giving him real weapons? Are they trying to find out if he can be the future? And that is the key. If Shedeur Sanders is staying in Cleveland, the Browns cannot just keep him as a name on the roster. They need to give him a real chance, a real offense, a real evaluation, because you cannot know what a quarterback is if you never give him the tools. You cannot ask Shedeur to prove he is the future while giving him no speed, no rhythm, and no explosive threat. That is why this Tyreek Hill idea is so fascinating. Again, health is everything. If Tyreek is not right, the Browns have to walk away. If the knee is not ready, the Browns have to be smart. If the contract does not make sense, Cleveland cannot force it. But if the medicals check out, if the price is right, if Tyreek can still run, then this could become one of the most explosive ideas in the NFL. Because Shedeur plus Tyreek is not just a rumor, it is a vision of Cleveland finally putting speed around its quarterback, a vision of Judkins running against lighter boxes, a vision of Jeudy getting more space, a vision of Fannin attacking the middle, a vision of Bond and Tyreek forcing defensive backs to panic, a vision of Shedeur standing in the pocket and thinking, I have answers everywhere. That is how confidence grows. That is how offenses open up. That is how young quarterbacks start believing. And that is how the Dawg Pound starts feeling something different. Dawg Pound, imagine the message this would send. To Shedeur Sanders, we are building around you. To the AFC North, you better back up. To the NFL, Cleveland is done playing slow. Tyreek Hill in Cleveland would not guarantee a Super Bowl. Nobody does that alone. But if healthy, he could give the Browns something they desperately need: fear, speed, explosiveness, a weapon who changes every snap before the ball is even thrown. And for Shedeur Sanders, that could be massive. So now I want to hear from you. Would Tyreek Hill be the perfect explosive weapon to help Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns build a deadly offense? Or is the injury risk too big for Cleveland to take? Drop your take in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in for more Browns news, Browns rumors, NFL updates, and real Dawg Pound reactions every single day.